Hello and welcome to another episode of The Mark Medley Show. And my podcast episode for today is dealing with this whole notion of how we refer to children when in our minds we think we may be paying a compliment or we think we may be saying something that's cute, but I really don't know if we understand what we're really saying. And whenever I share the statement with you in a few seconds or so, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you where the thought for this post came from. About a week and a half ago, I was watching a baseball game. And the commentaries, the play-by-play commentators, doing what they normally do, were having a little chat in the booth as the game were going on. And one of the commentators had referenced the fact that either a colleague or one of the players or former players or umpires or somebody had just had a child or a grandchild. And he went on to say how, I'm sure she's spoiled, or I'll bet she's spoiled, or can you imagine how spoiled, or something along the lines about the child being spoiled. And what immediately hit me was that statement was said as a badge of honor. It wasn't said as an indictment. It wasn't said as something that needed to be corrected. It was said as a badge of honor. And that's what leaped out at me in terms of what I wanted to create, or at least post about in this episode of my podcast. And I've been going over what I wanted to say now for, like I said, a week and a half, because this is not the first time that I've heard people refer to their children, especially the young ones, the babies or the toddlers, as spoiled or bad. And in many instances, it's used as a term of endearment. And see, since I hang on words, I actually looked up the word spoil, and it says spoil. Diminish or destroy the value or quality of. Number 2, harm the character of someone, especially a child, by being too lenient or indulgent. Now, I'm sure it was the definition number 2 that most people refer to, but that's not a good thing. Harming the character of someone, especially a child, by being too lenient or indulgent. In many instances, I will hear, and I hate to put it solely in the African American community because it's not just there. As a matter of fact, this commentator was Caucasian, the one that was talking about this child being spoiled. But in the African American community, many times you will see a toddler or a small child or an infant doing something they're not supposed to be doing. And again, the parent laughing and chuckling as if he or she is so bad, as if that is a badge of honor. And I'm here to tell you in this podcast episode that it is not a badge of honor, because what happens is what we consider as bad or spoiled or cute becomes learned behavior. And that behavior continues as the child progresses and gets older. And then we begin to wonder, why does this child do what they do? Why does this child do what he or she does? It's because when they were younger, when they were small, when they were toddlers and infants, we were too busy skinning and grinning and smiling and slapping fives about how spoiled they are or how bad they are, throwing those terms around again as if they were badges of honor. And I say to you, it is not. It is nothing cute. My daughter and I was in a restaurant a couple weeks ago, and the little boy was there with his mother and his father, and I think there was a sibling. I don't recall if there was another child or not, but I think there was. But this young man, this kid had to be about 2 or 3, and he was crawling all over the table. And mom and dad was just sitting there allowing him to do that. He's literally, not figuratively speaking, literally up on the restaurant table, crawling about it. And mom and dad absolutely did nothing to take the child or to help the child understand is you don't crawl or sit on a table. This is a restaurant table. This is where other customers were going to come in and eat. And this child was on his knees, crawling across the table, back down on his backside, sliding back and forth across the table, and mom and dad just sitting there smiling, cajoling, thinking it was cute. It was not cute. Both my daughter and I, both of us commented on the fact that they're not going to say anything to this child that's crawling around on the table, but no, I guess in their mind they would think, oh, he's just so bad. Oh, he's spoiled. I'm going to keep reiterating throughout this post that using spoiled or bad as a badge of honor is not cute. As one who works in the education, because I don't think there's an episode that goes by, or at least my radio show on Saturday mornings, that I don't mention that I work in the education system, that I'm an educator, and I know what I see. And a lot of the behaviors that we get in the elementary, middle school, high school, and in perhaps sometime college years stems from behavior that occurred when these children were infants and toddlers. They were unchecked. Now, I don't know if the parents were scared to check them, didn't know how to check them, didn't know what to, but I could tell you this. My mother and father knew what to do when my sister and I were infants and toddlers. We knew what to touch and not touch, when to run around and play and not run around and play. And my mother and father did not have a problem with putting us back in our place in order to help us. Because again, if you look at that definition, it said harm the character of someone, especially a child, by being too lenient or indulgent. Folks, we can be too lenient and we can be too indulgent. These are children that we're dealing with, that we're allowing to run the show. 1, 2, 3, and 4-year-olds who we are allowing to run the show as if they have the capacity to run it, as if they have the wherewithal to know what they're doing and understand what their decision making is going to result in. If you look at the first definition, diminish or destroy the value or quality of. If you were to combine those two definitions, diminish or destroy the value, we're diminishing or destroying the value of a child. We're harming the character of a child. And how is it being done? By us being too lenient or too indulgent. We're allowing the child to have his or her way. I've posted, or I have recorded episodes before about children's behavior in supermarkets, restaurants, and in the mall, and how they just fall into these temper tantrums, and how parents just kowtow to it and give in. And what that does for the child is let the child know, all I have to do is throw this tantrum and mommy and daddy's going to give in. And usually that's the case. And that carries over into school, because the child now thinks, I do it with mommy and daddy, so guess what? I can do it with my teacher. I do it with mommy and daddy, so guess what? I can do it with my principal. I do it with mommy and daddy, so I can do it with the police officer. So all this, oh, he's so spoiled and smiling, it's not cute. It's not. I don't care how you look at that. I don't care how you shape it. I don't care who it is, because the statement that I heard was on a ball game that I was watching and listening to, and these were professional, older gentlemen cajoling and laughing and kidding about how spoiled this child either is, was, could be, based on who the parents are, or the fact that the parent was rich, or the parent was a ball player, or the umpire, or whoever it was. But again, just to hear them having that conversation of, and it was said out of joy, was not said out of sadness, was not said out of sorrow, not said out of, you know what, we don't want any child to be spoiled. We don't want whoever our friend is for their child to be spoiled. It was said out of a sense of giddiness. So we really have to take a look at some of the words that we say, how we position things, how we think about things, because it is causing us to get what we're getting. We're wondering why we're getting from our children and various generations what we're getting. Is because we've contributed to that. We've, again, made it a badge of honor or something cute that they're bad, that they're spoiled, that a child is going to argue you down to have his or her way. You try to put the tablet away and they throw a fit, so you give the tablet back. You give a 1-year-old $1,000+ iPhone 10. And when you go to take that back, I wouldn't have given it to them to begin with, but when you go to take that back, they throw a temper tantrum, so therefore you give it back again. And then once the phone gets broke, you're responsible having to buy another one, or either now you want to chastise the child for the phone being broke, of which they should not have had to begin with. We set ourselves up for a lot of what we get out of our children. We really need to get back to the basics of where children need to understand they are children. Adults need to understand they're adults. Parents need to understand that they're not necessarily friends. Now, it's okay to be friendly, but it doesn't mean you have to be like their boy or their girl. Their ace, boo, coon, their buddy, their bae, their boo. You're their parent. So this whole notion of, oh, he's so spoiled. Oh, I bet they're spoiled. Oh, he's so bad. Oh, you should see how bad they are. No, that's not cute. Now, you can get offended. Listen to this if you want to be quite honest with you. I really don't care. Because some changes need to be made. Folks need to tell it like it is. Folks need to speak truth. Don't necessarily have to be nasty. Don't necessarily have to be insulting. However, if the shoe fits, wear it. It is my hope that after listening to this episode, that we give some thought to some of our activities, some of the things that we think, some of the things that we say, some of the things that we see. That if somebody comes to you with that, oh, he's so bad, that you kind of maybe, is that what you want them to be? You want them to be bad? Oh, I bet they're spoiled. Oh, I'd love to spoil them. Do you understand what the definition of spoil is? We need to kind of have those kind of conversations rather than just taking everything for granted and taking everything so lightly. Because these words and thoughts that we're saying are producing the results that we are getting. Now, interestingly enough, tomorrow is Father's Day. This is not necessarily a Father's Day message. This is a parent message. But it is Father's Day. So for those that are listening, if you happen to be listening around the Father's Day time frame, happy Father's Day to you. But with that being said, we have to step up as fathers as well. We must stop spoiling children and allowing children to be spoiled. Mothers, same thing. We must stop spoiling children and allowing children to be spoiled and to be bad. If they're being bad or being spoiled, we need to put them in check. I'm not saying abuse. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. So I am not advocating that any parent is abusing their child. However, corrective behavior needs to be taught. No, you do not get up on top of a restaurant table and crawl around, particularly at 3 or 4 years old. This was not a 6-month-old, and even that would be questionable. This was a 3 or 4-year-old little boy that was up on top of a restaurant table, crawling around as if he were on the ground or on the floor. And mom and dad said absolutely nothing because they sat there and thought that was cute or he's so spoiled. That's got to stop. We're getting further and further away from any type of boundaries. We're getting further and further away from any type of filters, any type of character, any type of morals, any type of anything. At this point in the game, we're looking to legalize everything that was illegal. We're looking to legalize things that were illegal for a purpose. And now all these things are coming up on the forefront to be legalized. So now you combine that with a bunch of kids who don't know how to act. All these things that were once illegal are now legal. We are going to have a time on our hands. I tell you what, you can agree or disagree, but it's something to think about. You want to catch more of me? You can hear me live on Saturday mornings as I web stream around the world. I broadcast on FM radio. On the web stream, you can go to gobrave.org, GOBRAVE.org. If you're in the northern New Jersey, New York area, I'm on WP 88.7 FM radio. I'm on FM radio on 88.7 FM. And of course, you can find out everything by going to my website, marcamedley.com. MarcAmedley.com. It is the portal to everything that I do. So if you don't remember all of the stuff that I just said, just go to my website. It is the portal that will get you to the radio show, my blog, the podcast, other services I could provide for you. It's just a matter of you logging on to marcamedley.com. Thank you, and again, please give some thought to what I said. Feel free to retweet this, to share it, to whatever you need to do to get it out. I hope this goes viral. I honestly do. I hope it goes viral. Because I need folks to really think about what I'm saying and what I just said. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm not trying to be offensive. But some things we need to give thought to. And I'm going to say again as I close. A child spoiled or a child bad is not cute.